Yes, friends, some simple test questions which are there to boost up your confidence. And yes, now we are going to see those questions. If you invest this hour or so in this particular video, I'm sure that you are going to get so much of confidence about how you will answer in examination, how to solve an MCQ, which type of questions we can expect, because generally the revision test paper is just the outcome of the mindset of the paper setters, so that by that we can estimate or approximately we can anticipate that which type of questions may be there in the examination to come. So now we are going through this. I hope you are having this particular RTPs either printed or in a soft copy with you. I downloaded this from Institute website itself and printed, and you can see the same on the screen also. Now let us go for the case studies. When I talk to you with respect to questions, then there are basically three types of questions in this particular sample test questions. The very first is the integrated case study MCQs. The second is the independent MCQ questions. And the third is various descriptive questions suggested by ACCA. So now hereby we go with particular concept of this first integrated case study. In all, we are given with 2 case studies. So let's go with the very first one. DF Limited is an unlisted public company incorporated under the provisions of Companies Act 2013, having its registered office in Rajasthan. In my opinion, this particular line, I think so, apart from name, I think so relevant right now is nothing else. The registrar, after the inspection of books of accounts or an inquiry under section 206. So one section attracted here is section 206. Another books and papers under section 207. Okay. So 207 also submitted a report in writing to the central government, including a recommendation. जो 208 में जो report आता है वो, that the further investigation in the company was necessary, giving the reasons in support of that. The central government was of the opinion that it was necessary to investigate into the affairs of the company by CIFAO. So when CIFAO comes into picture, the investigation goes into section 212. In my opinion, government can either go on its own under section 210 or can go for investigation by CIFAO under section 212. You might be wondering that, so why are you writing the section number on the right hand side? So that in case you have any query, right, then you can always refer after completing this video to particular section so that your query got redressed in a better manner. The director CIFAO appointed an investigation officer who called on the directors of the company, and he arrested the directors of company, because we know that when the offense is treated under section 212, the offense becomes cognizable, right? The directors demanded the reason for the same, for such arrest, which were informed to them. Good. The directors of the company were produced before the jurisdictional judicial magistrate, who released them on bail, though the prosecution opposed the application of bail in court. Okay. On completion of investigation of the director, CIFAO submitted the investigation report to CG. The CG, after examination of report, directed the CIFAO to initiate the prosecution against the company and its officers and employees who are or have been in employment, because we know that even the past employees or officers may be punished when the offense relates to the tenure when they were in their office. A charge sheet was presented against the accused directors of the company before the special court, and after the completion of the trial, the special court punished the directors and sentenced them to imprisonment for a term of say 6 months and a fine of at least 2,000 each. Okay. So this is snap. Now this was the combined reading we did. Before we move ahead, I request you that kindly go for one-time reading of this particular case, except questions. I'm giving you 2 minutes. You can either read on the screen of the video, or if you are having the material, kindly read from that. Then we start solving the answers. Now friends, if we see, moving towards the very first question, I hope you read that. I gave you the self-study time. The very first question is, if the central government is of the opinion to order the investigation into affairs of company on receipt of report of ROC under section 208 of Companies Act, state the correct statement as to the initiation, yani starting of the order of investigation into the affairs of the company. What I'll do is, in each of the option, whatever is right, I'll tick mark with blue, and what is wrong is I'll highlight with red. It cannot order the investigation by inspectors. Okay. It cannot. No, it's wrong. It can always. It can order investigation by inspectors under provision 210. Okay. This is correct. It cannot order. Oh, it can order. So this is wrong. It can order investigation by inspectors under 210 or by CIFAU under section 212. This is also correct. But which one is more correct? B or D? Then it is the D. So the correct answer is that whenever central government gets a recommendation, it can either invest on its own under 210 or can delegate to CIFAU under section 212. Then the next question is Director CIFAU a competent authority to arrest the directors of an unlisted public company, listed or unlisted? As I told you, the offense become cognizable, and here the Director CIFAU is given the power very equivalent to police. Yeah, but in a time period, they need to take that person to the judicial magistrate. So yes, so second is the correct answer. See, it has nothing to do with any other approval, nothing like that. It is a duty of the Director CIFAU to inform the arrestee, means the person whom they are going to arrest, as well as the grounds of the arrest. Absolutely yes, right? It is compulsory. It is a duty, as well as they have a right. Arrestee has a right to know the same. So it's A wala point. Within how much time the arrested directors of DEF Limited required to be produced before judicial magistrate by Director CIFAU after arrest? It is within 24 hours, right? And the time which is taken for transportation will not be counted, means that relaxation is there. When do the directors of DEF Limited vacate their office of directors in the company? Okay, so this is associated 167. On the date when the directors were arrested, no. On the date when the charge sheet was submitted to court, no. On the date when the directors were arrested and produced before the jurisdictional magistrate, no. On the date when the directors were convicted by the special court. Convicted is very important, so that is correct. And so point number D is the correct answer as far as the option is concerned. So directors will vacate their office when the point number D is attracted, means when they are convicted by any court, because section 167 is a ground that convicted needs to be taken into account. So if you see this, then even here section 167 is attracted. So these are the sections which are attracted by this particular integrated case study scenario chapter, having a combination of chapter 1 and chapter 4 investigation of your syllabus. Confident? Now let's move towards the second question. Integrated case study 2. Hansraj Power Limited Hansraj Power Distribution Limited, means I'll say H company, was incorporated in year 2008. The annual turnover of the company is 2 crore rupees. Mr. Raj Purohit, so I'll say Mr. Raj. For me, important is H company and Raj. The director of the company was appointed by the company 4 years back. Mr. Raj is eligible for retirement by rotation at this AGM. Okay. The AGM is scheduled to be held on 22nd of August. He is also working as a director in Max International Limited and also in Trinity Infrastructure Limited. So he is also there as a director in Max and Trinity. Trinity Infrastructure Limited did not file its financial statements for the last 3 years with ROC. Okay. So I think so this is targeting nearby to that section 164. Trinity Infrastructure Limited also defaulted in paying interest on loan taken from PFI in the last 2 years. The board of company HPDL Hansraj Power Distribution Limited has decided to propose Mr. Raj's name for reappointment, and Mr. Raj gave his consent for the same. Okay. So somewhere I think so they are going to talk with respect to section 164 targeting subsection 2. Okay. Application to tribunal for compromise and arrangement was submitted along with all the documents. The tribunal fixed the time and place of the meeting and appointed a chairman for the meeting. So now I think so apart from chapter 1, they are also shifting to chapter number 5, that is compromise and arrangement. So basically it will be focusing on section 230 to 240. Any of the sections will be targeted. This is my initial review. Then we come to section specific. The meeting of members of company was held as per the orders of court to consider the scheme of compromise and arrangement. Notice of the meeting was sent to 1,000 members. So in all, company has 1,000 members. Notice was sent to all the creditors and to debenture holders individually, and they were accompanied by a statement disclosing the details of valuation report, okay, and explaining the effect on creditors, KMP, promoter, non-promoter members, debenture holders, and the effect of the scheme on the important interest of directors or debenture trustees. So I think so in my opinion the notice is complete. In the meeting what happened, out of the total 1,000 members of the company having 10 lakh equity shares, 800 attended, so 200 were absent, and those 800 has 7 lakh equity shares. Okay, out of the 460 members, out of which 460 members holding 4,70,000 shares voted in favor. 190 members holding 1,25,000 shares voted in against. The remaining 150 members abstained. All the members voted for scheme either in person or through proxy. Okay, everything is perfect. As prescribed under the Act, the notice along with all the documents was also sent to central government, income tax authorities, RBI, SEBI, ROC, respective stock exchanges, CCI, and SEBI made an objection to scheme of arrangement after 45 days of receiving all the documents. Friends, 30 days के अंदर वो आना चाहिए. Fine, चलो. Here noticeable is 45 days. According to the latest audit report, the outstanding debt of company is 50 lakh rupees, and the creditors, so there are in all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creditors, and that 50,000 lakh is bifurcated like this. It's good that they have given a percentage. If not given, you would need to find out that, because 5% wala was rule like creditors will come here. So from the above mentioned creditors list, X1 financial company, the very first, raised its objection in tribunal to the aforementioned scheme, and the creditor filed a petition in tribunal. Okay. The chairman of the meeting submitted the report to the tribunal within the time fixed by tribunal after hearing the creditors, and the tribunal finally approved the scheme of compromise and arrangement between the company and its members, and the order is binding on company, all its members and creditors. Okay. So basically chapter 1, appointment of directors is considered here, and another is the compromise, arrangement and amalgamation chapter, which we find here. Cool. Now let's answer the questions. With reference to provisions of Companies Act 2013, which value of required majority will be considered to approve the scheme? Now we very well know that in merger and amalgamation, we need approval by majority, right? Holding 3/4 in value of shares. So majority in number and 3/4 in shares. How we calculate that? Total number in company. From that, we minus the absent. So we get present in meeting. From that, we minus those who abstain. We also minus those who did invalid voting. So we exactly get present and voting, and we compare votes in favor to that. So in our example, as I can see in the document, 1,000 members of company were there, and they were holding 10 lakh equity shares. Attended by 800 holding 7 lakh. So 200 are absent and they were having 3 lakh of equity shares. Out of which 460 members voted in favor, holding 4.7 lakh. 190 members voted in against, I'm not concerned with. The remaining 150 members abstained, and they were having 1,05,000 shares. Invalid voting details is not available. So what we need to do is, from 800, 150 goes. So the point comes of 650 members were present and voting, as we don't have any information with respect to invalid voting. And as far as the number of shares are concerned with them, 7 lakh minus 1,05,000, it comes to 5,95,000. So, resolution, what we need to see is that 650, 50% of 650, we need to find out, and 650 members are holding shares. तो उनके पास जितने shares हैं, उसके 3/4, right, जो है उतने फेवर वाले वैल्यू के वोट होने चाहिए. So let's see what they've asked. Question: 3/4 of value of shares held by 650. This is correct. Three-fourth of total shares held by 800 members. No. 1,000 members. Absolutely no. Right. So A is the correct answer. According to the provisions of Companies Act 2013, ex-finance objected to company scheme whether it is valid or not. Creditor can raise an objection as aggregate loan needs to be more than 2% of debt. It should be minimum 5%. X jointly with Radhe can raise the objection as the aggregate needs to be minimum 5%. So अगर हम राधे के साथ merge करें X को and राधे को, तो 8% हो जाएगा. Okay. Only X along with Soham can raise the objection as the aggregate needs to be minimum 15%. Absolutely wrong. 2% wrong, 15% wrong. Minimum is 5%. Only X Finance jointly with Soham and Radhe, because they need minimum 20%. This is also wrong. So correct is B wala point. If creditor wants to object 5% of outstanding debt, and if the member wants to object 10% of total shareholding, is the requirement. Okay. Evaluate the representation made by SEBI. Whether it is tenable, not tenable, the reason I told you while reading even the question that it should be done within 30 days. This is wrong. While finally approving the scheme of compromise and arrangement between the company and its members, which one of the below certificate is necessary to be filed with tribunal than it is of the company's auditor? It is very important to be filed with respect to that all the accounting entries are done as per the accounting standards and applicable rules and regulations, then only tribunal will pass an order. According to the above mentioned facts, under the directorship of Mr. Raj, Trinity Infrastructure defaulted. How the Trinity's default is going to affect? Mr. Raj has to immediately vacate as a director in all three companies? Not at all. Right. Mr. Raj needs to vacate as a director in HPDL or in HPDL and Max. Yeah, that is correct. Right. So this is correct. That उसे बाकी दो companies में क्या करना होगा? Accused company will remain because he has to make good the default in that particular. So this is how, friends, you can see two case study based questions were there which were being asked, right? And now we move to the independent. State under which given situation a lender can avail the benefits of Sarfaishi Act, right? That we need to see to it. First, an insolvency application has been launched against the borrower. Now, see, friends, always ensure when this is being launched, you cannot take the benefit. The borrower is under BIFR, yes, you can take the benefit. A winding up petition, we can take the benefit. A criminal launched by the lender against the borrower, yes, you can take the benefit. So, which is correct option? 1, 3, 2, 4. Yeah, this is the correct answer. 2, 3, and 4. Mr. Kamal is accused of an offence as mentioned in Part B of Schedule of PMLA. What must be the minimum amount of offence for which Mr. Kamal is accused of? And it's 100 lakh. I said we don't remember penalty, but here it's not with penalty. It is with respect to that Part B and Part C, Part A, Part B, Part C. Anna foreign citizen. Okay. Now I request you. Third is good important question. Read on your own the third MCQ and try to find out the answer of the same. Don't see the answers first. So friends, what is your opinion? Yes, obviously you might have, because see, values you try to remember as far as FCRA was concerned. So if the market value in India of such article as on the date of gift is not more than 1 lakh, then it will be excluded from the definition of FCRA. Good. Milan Limited entered into agreement with Fenil Limited for supply of confectionery biscuits and cakes for a period of 5 years. The arbitration agreement states that all the disputes shall be submitted to arbitration. After a period, it was found that the principal contract is invalid. Okay, the main contract later on. You are required to give the best option in the given scenario. Considering the provisions of Arbitration and Conciliation Act, we need to decide the same. Okay. Let's go to first. The arbitration clause in principal agreement also stands invalid due to the principal contract becoming invalid. Wrong, because there is a point of, if you remember, doctrine of severability applies. The arbitration clause is an independent agreement of principal agreement and cannot be treated as invalid merely because the principal contract was invalid. Correct? The arbitration clause shall be exercisable only if the judicial authority under the allows. No, wrong. It's deemed, always it's separate. The arbitration clause in the principal agreement stands valid only till the time the principal contract was in force. Wrong. So the correct option is option B. Friends, we have seen that two things very important. If it's a part of arbitration agreement deemed is separate, and अगर separate agreement हो तो कोई फर्क पड़ता ही नहीं, and main contract की enforceability कभी arbitration agreement के contract की enforceability को affect करते. Now moving to the last MCQ, again I request you to read the same. So mainly friends, you are reading, you might be confused. See, this is absolutely wrong. So you may be confused whether it is to be approved by 90%, 66 or 50. 90% also we rarely find in, but 51 and 66%. Then we know that the resolution passed for liquidation is valid, not valid in the law, as it was being approved by 51, but minimum 66% of voting by financial creditors is needed. Right, when the point is with respect to resolution profession. Right, so hereby we end up with the MCQ type questions. both types of MCQs being covered. One type of MCQs were with respect to I mean to say case study based, right? And another MCQs were independent MCQs which were to be taken for. Now moving ahead with the descriptive questions. The board of directors of U company, which is an MNC, comprised of directors who are both Indian and foreign nationals. Mr. X, who is the director on board, is a very often on business tour abroad. He approached you, being legal expert of the company, to know from you the regulatory provisions with respect to alternate directors. So this is with respect to section 161 subsection 2, because we find the provisions with respect to alternate directors in that particular 161 subsection 2. Now colleagues, the very first is number of directors for which a person can be appointed as an alternate director. Then in a company you can be an alternate director of any one director, but in all the companies taken together you can be of maximum 20 directors at a time, or in 20 companies at a time. Second, whether an alternate director is appointed in the place of director whose term is indefinite, then what will be the tenure of such alternate director? We know that alternate director and original director are, everything is separate except their term is connected. So if the alternate director original director is having an indefinite term, the tenure of the alternate director will be till the original director return back to India. When he will return back to India, the alternate director's term will vacate, because here two things will apply. The expiry of term of original director, return to India. So expiry तो बाद में होगी, indefinite time है, तो return to India whichever is earlier. So it will be returned to India. Can an executive director, WTO or MD appoint alternate directors? See, appointment of alternate director is not a prerogative of one director, it's of a team. And anyone can appoint by passing a resolution of board of directors, and that director need not be executive, WTO or. So this is the answer to this with respect to that. Let's read that from the suggested answers given by ICAI. So I request you to read this from here. Start reading. I'm screening out myself. Now friends, the next question. Friends, you might be wondering that, sir, why you are giving time to read in lecture video itself. Then friends, I know that later on you don't get time to read, you will miss out. So when you are discussing, though it might take some 10-15 minutes here or there, but I want that you read right now so that later on you need not to spend your time reading this particular provisions again. International Technologies Limited, a listed company being managed by MD, okay, proposes to pay the following managerial remuneration. Commission at the rate 5% of net profits to its MD, Mr. Kamal. Okay, so they are having one MD and company wants to pay 5% as a remuneration. The directors other than MD are proposed to be paid on monthly basis a remuneration of 50,000 and also commission at the rate 1% of net profit, subject to that the overall remuneration payable to ordinary directors, including monthly remuneration payable to each of them, shall not exceed 2% of the net profits of company. Okay. The commission is to be distributed equally among all the directors. Fine. Now, when it comes to, you can say this particular provisions with respect to remuneration to directors, right? Then when it is only one MD, max to max 5% can be paid. And when there are more than one MD, WTD and manager, then taken together all 10% can be paid. That is what we know. And when in a company there is no MP, that is MD, WTD or manager, then to other directors you can give up to 3%. Right. And when in a company you have MD, WTD or manager, then you can give up to maximum 1%, not more than that. So in my opinion, the very first where they are giving 5% is pretty good because they are having only one MP, that is MD. But when they're already having an MD and they want to pay up to more than 2%, then it's wrong. They can pay max to max up to 1% of net profit to all the directors. So first proposal is right. The second proposal to other directors is wrong. If still company wants to pay that, then company can pay. I'm not saying wrong, but then company needs to pass a special resolution in the general meeting of the company. So let's have a look at this particular thing from the answer. This is with respect to first Mr. Kamal, who is MD, and then to other directors. Moving ahead for other directors of the company. Now friends, moving ahead. X Stock Exchange Limited was granted recognition by SEBI. The stockbrokers of stock exchange did not pay heed to the concept of governance and focused on increasing their wealth and snubbed, yani taken away the protection of investors. Their activities were against the interest of trade and general public. Examine whether the SEBI has the power to withdraw the recognition granted to X stock exchange under the provisions of SCARA. Absolutely. Whenever any stock exchange is making contravention of the SCARA or rules or regulations made thereafter, or when SEBI central government orders, or when stock exchange does anything which is detrimental to the interest of listed companies or trade or general public or investors at large, SEBI has a power to do the recognition of a stock exchange, withdraw the permission of a stock exchange after giving a reasonable opportunity of being heard. Whether a person can be a member of unrecognized stock exchange for the purpose of performing any contract in securities? No, he can only be the member of unrecognized stock exchange with the permission of central government, now SEBI, else he cannot. So with this background, let us read the answer from the suggested ones, some screening. Have a look at the answer. Okay, I missed one question to discuss. Yeah, we discussed that. But before that, just have a look at this particular 19th answer. Then we see 18th. Now next there is one more question which by mistake I skipped. So let's first see that. On application from shareholder of company, NCLT passed an order on 20th December without the consent of the parties. Because had it been the order with consent of parties, then no further appeal would have been done. Mr. Ram, whose family condition was not good, did not take much interest in order of tribunal, but after a few days, due to aggrieved by order, he filed an appeal to NCLT on 15th of March. Sufficient cause of delay for not filing appeal up to 45 days from the date of order was shown. Even after receiving the order from NCLT dated 30th April, Mr. Ram was not satisfied and desires to make an application to Supreme Court on 30th of October, whether it will be admissible or not. Now we know that NCLT order can be appealed to NCLT within 45 days plus further 45 days when sufficient cause is being shown. And when it comes to NCLT's order further being challenged, then it is to Supreme Court within 60 days. And if in case there is a genuine reason being shown, Supreme Court may allow a further delay of 60 days, but it should be done within 120 days, not beyond that. So here it's 30th October, April to October. So it's beyond 120 days. So in my opinion, Supreme Court will not admit the particular. Let's have a look at the answer. Have a look at it. Now friends, the next question. The composition of audit committee of M Limited, an unlisted public company, as on 31st March comprised of 7 directors. Okay, so audit committee में 7 directors थे, including 4 independent director. So 50 होने चाहिए तो 3.4. Fine. The majority of the members of audit committee has the ability to read and understand its financial statements, but none of them has accounting or related financial expertise. Okay. The company listed its securities in a stock exchange in the month of August. Referring to the regulations of SEBI, LODR, listing obligations and disclosure requirement, decide whether the existing audit committee can continue after listing its securities or not. Now friends, basically when the company is unlisted, public company, it's fine, it follows section 177, it's fine. But when it's in 177, it is written that when the company wants to get itself listed or is listed, it has to comply with SEBI. And SEBI in LODR, regulation 18 talks with respect to this particular audit committee. And it says that minimum 3 members should be there in audit committee. Yeah, it's there, so it's fine. Second, they talk 2/3 of the members of audit committee shall be independent director. तो यहां पे कितने लोग हैं? आई एम जस्ट काउंटिंग 7. तो 7 के 2/3 करे तो इट कम्स टू 4.66. सो इट कम्स टू 5 इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर मिनिमम चाहिए, और हमें यहां है कितने? 4. सो कंपनी को एक इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा, यानी ये कॉम्पोजिशन को थोड़ा चेंज करना पड़ेगा. प्लस majority of the members of the committee are literate financially, but as far as LODA is concerned, all the members shall be literate. तो उसमें थोड़ा चेंज आएगा. एंड एक तो एक्सपर्ट चाहिए और यहाँ एक भी एक्सपर्ट नहीं. So in my opinion, because of this reason, the company needs to change the composition of audit committee. With this present composition, there will be a non-compliance of SEBI LO. So now let's read this particular answer in very much depth. Start reading from here. Now friends, further, the next question. Is Mr. Kunal used his card for smuggling cash and for other illegal activities. On trial before the special court, it was found that an offense of money laundering was committed by Mr. Kunal. Okay. Also found that the car was under hypothecation to a bank for car loan obtained. Referring to money laundering 2002, examine whether the car can be confiscated. Then the provisions of money laundering, that to basically section with respect to confiscation purely says that once the car is found under the money laundering, the aforesaid property will vest to central government. It can confiscate and it will be free from all such encumbrances or leasehold interest. So the encumbrance will be declared as void, and therefore car can be confiscated and shall vest to central government. Still, that is our detailed answer. You read once, you'll get better clarity. Please read it. Then friends, the next question is, with respect to Quality Rubber Limited, a supplier of raw material, filed a petition before NCLT for recovery of 10 lakh rupees from Smart Limited. Smart Limited, the corporate debtor, has other financial creditors to the extent of 1.5, and they also joined together and filed petitions to NCLT. The corporate debtor has a total 40 financial creditors and 2 operational creditors, and further all operational creditors are equal, having equal voting rights. Notice was issued on 1st August 2019 for the first meeting to be held on 5th August at a common venue. The meeting was attended by 40 financial creditors and 2 operational creditors, so almost all financial creditors attended. A resolution was passed to appoint Mr. Naveen as a RP. 25 creditors voted in favor and 10 against, and 5 financial creditors and 2 operational creditors abstained from voting. Decide in terms of the given information whether the resolution passed to appoint Mr. Naveen is valid or not, and whether the quorum was present or not. Now, as far as the quorum is concerned, the 33% of the members shall be present. And herein you can say that there were sufficient members in quorum because almost here all financial creditors were present. Moreover, when it comes to the appointment of resolution professional, as per section 22 of banking IBC, the first meeting shall be done within 7 days of constitution of committee of creditors, and in that first meeting they should appoint majority with minimum 66% of voting financial creditors, either the IRP as RP, right, or any other person as RP, but they need to appoint it. And you can say that here what was the point? Out of the 40 financial creditors, 5 abstained from voting, right? So from 35, we need 66% voting. So if we calculate 35, 66%, it comes to 23.1. So 24 creditors should agree, and here in our question 25 creditors agreed out of 35. So it's coming out to nearly 71% like of that. So here both the conditions are fulfilled. Quorum is adequate, quorum is there, and also adequate majority required is there. So appointment of, you can say, Naveen as a RP is absolutely valid. Let's have a look at the answer. Now friends, moving towards the second last question of the RTP. XYZ Foundation Society registered under Societies Registration Act has received foreign contribution from Mala Company LLC, company incorporated in Singapore. XYZ Foundation deposited the amount of foreign contribution in bank and earned interest on it. So the interest earned on foreign contribution is also foreign contribution. XYZ Foundation desires to invest the maturity proceeds from deposits in mutual fund. You are required to advise XYZ and consider XYZ as obtained certificate of registration under section 11. Now, whenever any registered entity receives foreign contribution, it can utilize it for any for the purpose for which it has been received, but it should not be utilized for any kind of speculative business, including investment in mutual funds. Right. So, such kind of investment in mutual funds is not at all allowed. It cannot do the same, even though it is registered. And even though it wants to invest just even the interest amount, that interest is also considered as what? Foreign contribution. See, have a look at it. And now the last question of RTP. Mr. Ramesh Kulkarni conducts private tuition classes from his residence. It was alleged, someone raised an objection by ED that Kulkarni has reported and underreported his income and collected income in tax and used the proceeds to purchase house property in Marul, Mumbai. The ED officers, through written orders, provisionally attached the property on suspicion of it being derived from the proceeds of crime. Comment on the validity of the provisional attachment done by ED. So again, it attracts here the provisions of, you can say, the money laundering. So let's answer based on that, this particular last question. According to section 5, subsection 5 of PMLA, the director of or any other person who provisionally attaches any property shall within a period of 30 days from such attachment file a complaint stating the fact to adjudicating authority. सो जिस दिन अटैच करते हो उसके 30 days में फाइल करना होगा. Where the provisional order of attachment has been confirmed, the director or any other officer authorized by him shall immediately take the possession of property. So accordingly, the director is to file a petition with adjudicating authority within 30 days of, and after the order of attachment is confirmed, the director shall take the possession of the attached property. So this is how, friends, you can say simply we need to state the provisions of section 5 and section 8 here. So hereby we end up with our provisions with respect to the RTP discussed here. So as I'm telling you, we discussed two things. Initially we started with the amendments, and when we were discussing amendments, we noticed that this RTP is having the amendments which were applicable to May 20 also and to November 20 also. Means I didn't discuss in this particular video those amendments which were already there in May 20. Reason, again I'm clarifying that when it comes to those students who are attending for May 20, those who appeared in May 20 they attended, and again they already know the May 20 amendments. And those who are appearing watching this video of November 20 for the first time, then you have already studied the amended version of May 20, so you do not need that amendments. So all those amendments which were of May 20 already covered again in this RTP. We didn't discuss it, we just kept an asterisk, so it was repeated, and we only discussed the new amendments. After discussing those amendments, we came to the self-study questions or simple questions given by RTP. We had a discussion first on integrated case study MCQs, then on individual MCQs, and then we discussed this particular in all 24 questions to discuss on. So this was something with respect to the particular questions, friends. So I wish you best of luck. If you're having conceptual clarity, examinations will be simple. Don't try to mug up. Try to write in your own language, but in a legal language, then it will not be an issue. So see you soon. Best of luck. Thank you.
If you like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more such videos and learn from our expert faculty members. Press the bell icon to get regular notifications whenever we upload a new video. Download NDI mobile app to get complete CA course online. We value your support. Thank you for watching.